Welcome to Immigrate. Welcome to a space where you can be vulnerable, a space where you're not going to be judged, a space where you can be authentic. And my hope and desire is to inspire and motivate everyone that click onto this podcast. So welcome to another episode of Immigrate. Hey, welcome back to another great episode. I just had some really good conversation over the last couple of weeks, and I wanted to put a little twist to this because a question just came to my thought while I was finishing this episode, and I really want to touch on how deep does rejection affect someone? And that question came in my mind. And as I was just glancing in my head, it said rejection can affect a person much deeper than most people realize. It's not just a hurt feeling. It's a multiple of layers of experience that touches the mind, body, sense of identity. Let's just talk about the mind. When you get triggered by a past trauma, it not just brings up your sadness, but it brings up your worthiness, your shame, your anger. Imagine when someone gets rejected, and I feel like we undermine the word rejection because rejection hurts and it not just affects the mind, as I said. So the psychological level is it triggers a feeling of sadness. When someone is sad, when someone feels like they're worthless and their shame and anger, if the rejection comes from someone or something deeply valued, example, a close friend, a job, a romantic partner, emotional, it stings often sharper. Is you first expected that you wanted to be accepted. You first thought you were going to be invited. You first thought you were going to get that job because you did the interview. You first say you love me. You first spend time with that person emotionally. Invested into this, right? You went on this journey of job interview and you said to yourself, I'm going to put my best foot forward. Your close friend, you sit on the phone, you have conversation with this person. While you're having these conversation with this person, you also share where dreams and desire and your thoughts. You're bonding with this person, especially with a romantic partner. So with all of that, it stings really in the emotional part because you are now, the person said you're no longer accepted. And that can be very, very hard for someone who struggle with the inner child in them, since they're a little child. I touched on my previous and a lot of my listeners, my guests who came on talk about these little things. And when, as I said, I don't want to repeat myself, but when we don't deal with these little child inside of us that hurts, it doesn't take one time. It takes years to deal with it, right? Because especially the emotional part where we are a person, for introvert, I think it doesn't affect them as much because they're so used to themselves. So people really cannot really hurt them as much. This is just my opinion. But extroverts who like people, who get fueled by just being around people and just when they see people, they're happy, they can get more deeper hurt, especially with a romantic partner. If you're longing for someone to call you, or you say, example, with a society now that we have where people are living with people before they're married and or doing the things before you're married, and then you get so deep involved into that, and that person just say 2, 3, 4 months later, I don't want you anymore. It can hurt. You have first thought this person was going to be my person, right? But it's also involved where, and that's why it stings so deep. A job rejection, right? Where we first thought that this was my dream job. I applied for this job. I was hoping that I was going to get that job. I invested it. I did the research, everything, right? They make you do 3 interviews. You did 3 interviews, and then all of a sudden, these people just say, I don't want you anymore. You're not good enough. And that's how you feel. You do not fit in this company. I was the fit when you hired me. So how is it after 2 months, which I probably didn't even get proper training, I am no longer a fit? So those psychological things cuts really deep because, as I said, it brings up sadness, worthlessness, and all these things. The psychological levels, it can it can shake your self-esteem, self-worth, especially if it confirm old wounds. I'm not good enough. People always leave me. For some, it can cause overthinking, self-doubt, or fear of trying again. As I talked about it earlier, the emotional part, the psychological part is triggering, as I said, that little guy inside of you and bringing up those whole wounds that we haven't dealt with. I'm not good enough. People always leave me. Imagine as a child, you were abandoned, neglected by your parent. You're someone who cuddles. My friend has this beautiful baby boy, and sometimes when I look at her and then she hold that little boy, and then I'm like in the arms, and you're caressing and you're holding that child, and within that period you realize that this person who from I was a baby hold me. Then when you start understanding, they start telling you that you were a mistake. I'm sorry if this triggers anything in anybody's. You weren't good enough. I didn't want you. I told your parents to get rid of you. And you haven't dealt with that because your parents probably tell you, it's okay, don't listen to them. But your parents didn't help you to deal with it. Then you start worrying about self-esteem. You start finding companies to go into and to fit in, and you start doing these things. And if it was not dealt with, you then start overthinking. The self-doubt come again. Maybe fear of trying again. How many of us have say, God give us this huge idea, and with the idea that God has given us, and we planned it, and we've never, and we don't, and in this thing that God gave us, nobody showed up. So we took it as, okay, nobody is not going to want, nobody don't think I'm good enough. I am not going to do this thing. People don't want to see me. People don't want to see my crap. And you never try again because someone didn't come to your first event or someone didn't come to an event that you planned. The fear of trying again. Try again. Because while you try and you keep trying, that will build up that resilience inside of you that cannot be unmatched to somebody. And that's why I always say to people, you cannot compare your journey with someone else. Because I use a scenario in an interview I just did. My husband walks faster than I am. He's taller than me. And sometimes when we're going for a walk, I always like, slow down, because he walks faster than me. And I'm from a country where we really walk fast. Here in North America, they walk faster. So sometimes, but this is the thing that we've done sometimes is we compare ourselves with people who are 6-7 steps ahead of us. And that's why, and the fear of, and they don't tell you the real story. People mask around their own journey because sometimes they're still dealing with their own thing. So that's the happen with the psychological level of it. Is it a studies show that process in the psychological level? It says a study show that brain process social rejection similar to physical pain, meaning your body literally feels it. And it makes sense. It can cause from stress response, racing heart, fatigue, trouble sleeping, or loss of appetite. I don't know, but I want to share this story. I remember when I just came here 2016, I got kicked out from where I was living. God bless the person that came and picked me up that night. I'm forever grateful to her and her family. And I was living in an apartment. I was in the basement of that apartment. And I was going to school. It was a cold winter night. And I came home. But I think that night I missed the bus. And me missing the bus, I had to walk probably like 45 minutes in the cold. At that time, I wasn't so used to the winter. I didn't even dress as warm as I'm supposed to because I didn't have the stuff to do it, right? So I walked at the time. I mean, looking back, I'm not even sure if I like the winter, but I walked at the time and I got home. I was so tired and I had lots of assignment to do. I remember even the same night, I think I was off. I don't remember, but it was the first time I felt my heart rate racing so hard I couldn't breathe. And it was beating really fast. I drop on the ground, my body starts shaking, and the heart rate was just going fast. It was just beating fast. I couldn't breathe, everything. And that was when everybody, who does it? Who do we go to? Google. I quickly Google and I picked my phone up after I was, and then all I could have done was just take some serious fast deep breaths just to let the oxygen go through my lungs. And I started feeling better. And I Googled what was happening to me. And I found out I was having a panic attack. I went to the doctor and the doctor confirmed it. And I never experienced panic attack before. But looking back on that experience to now, I had one more episode of panic attack last year. I'll share that. I don't know if I did, but I'll share that. But the reason is when our body is literally feeling what we're thinking, as it says, we feel that physical pain. Our body knows we're going to heart. As I said, the heart, the fatigue, I couldn't sleep that night because my heart, even though oxygen was going through my lungs, all the thought of, why am I going through so much things? Why is all these things happening to me? You know, this person who kicked me out of their apartment started saying so much things that was never true. And because of that, it was my little wound that I still had to bear. And those are some of the ways it affects your body by having panic attacks. So watch signs in your body. And that's how deep rejection can affect you. The next one is behavioral level. Some people withdraw and isolate themselves. Others overcompensate by people pleasing or chasing approval. It can affect risk taking and goals pursued, either slowing someone down or making them overly cautious. I could touch on so much of these, but I will just go on the people pleasing part. It's part of me still working on that because growing up, I have a lot. I was telling my husband a couple of days ago, I used to have a lot of friends in high school, like probably over like 15 of us, a lot. Church, it was 4 of us that's always everywhere we go. So growing up, I used to have a lot of friends. So chasing approval was something that it was a part of me until I went to college and something dramatically happened to me. It was the first time I was like, what? Adulthood was one of the roughest things for me because as a teenager growing up, I had friends. We do everything together. And when I moved here, trying to find friends again and rebuilding friendship, it's hard. And that part of me, I'm like, whew, not knowing that I was such a person who loved people pleasing. I will make people happy. I will put myself on the very end just to make people happy. But situations and things have taught me not to do like that. So your behavior, withdrawing, or sometimes these are for the introverts. You may get rejected so that you just isolate yourself. You think that you're not good enough. You just don't want to be around people anymore. You don't really care about people, right? Because you have been rejected so much, you don't care. Overcompensate. People overcompensate a lot because they think, oh, the little part of me want to justify that they're a good person because they were told they were not. So these are some really deep parts, long-term impact. It says in a long-term, repeat and severe rejection, especially in childhood or formative years, as I said, can make a person hypersensitive to perceived slight. It may shape how they form relationships, trust others, or seeing their own value in the world. Rejection can cut so deep because it challenges our core human need for belonging. For ancestors, from our ancestors, social exclusion could mean literally survival risk. So our brain evolved to treat rejection as a serious threat, right? So it is, and I laugh when I said ancestors because it is true. And for most of us Caribbean and African or Black people, we tend to be tough. We have the terminology like, oh, I am tough. I don't need anybody. It's a lie. I have met so many people in my life, and people who are very educated and very feminine, and they're married. They often tell me, Tasha, we as female need to feel feminine because we are feminine, especially for women. When I see a woman become masculine or start doing masculinity things or taking control, being dictative or whatever, there's something inside of them that tells them that they need to do that. Us as women need to feel soft. There's a terminology on social media saying a soft life. I don't really go by all of what that meant, but to me, the soft life to me is being feminine in your own skin, be comfortable as a woman, and be okay to say, I can't do that. I need help. I am sad today. I am hurt. I am angry. And that's okay to feel like that. Because that softness inside of us that we had buried from our rejection needs to come back out. Because we as women need to feel love. And we're talking to the guys too, that we are told that we don't need to cry. We're told that we need to be tough. We're told that we need to be the breadwinner, blah, 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 blah. I was listening to a podcast and there was something that they were sharing on that podcast that made me think about it. It's how many of us as females look out for our husbands and service our husbands. We're gonna ask, what do you like? How do you want to feel loved today? Because, and I'm not saying the attention always goes to the female, where the men are raised to think that they should take care of the woman, which nothing is wrong with that. Don't get me wrong. But how many of us as female married women saying to our husband, how can you feel loved today? What can I do to make you feel loved today? How many of us as men doing that to our wives, saying to your wives, how can I make you feel loved today? To bring out that masculinity in the man and to bring out that feminine into the woman, because we want to feel belong. All of us, man, woman, we are great to do that to our kids. But how many of us are doing it to our spouse? How many of us are doing it to our family member? If you had a good bond with your family member, that's great. But I'm here talking about we need to work on, because sometimes I've realized that marriage brings out the worst and the best in us. When you're married, then you'll know how selfish you are. You will know how lovable you are. You will know how prideful you are. Because marriage will bring out every single trait inside of you that you think you bury. So I just wanted to share those, because those 5, that's how deep rejection hurt us. And don't undermine people when people come and they're complaining and someone hurt. Listen to them, man, because it's real. It hurts so deep that sometimes it's far reaching than you can ever imagine. A lot of us walking around hurting people because someone hurt you. Stop hurting people, because when we use our mouth to take people down or use situations, sometimes people are genuinely coming with deep sense of really want to help, and because of your own pride that you haven't dealt with, you turn around and hurt that person. How many of us really and truly have dealt with our situations so that we don't repeat these impacts, these severe things, these childhood trauma that your parents did to you? It's very sad in the Black community that most of our kids are molested. It's very sad. There's a study that I was reading, 1 out of 10 Black person get molested. It's very sad. So all of us walk around with these traumas, with these, as I said, with these long-term impact that affect us so much. And when it does affect us, most of us who grow up with Christian parents sometimes will either get help, or we sometimes, go pray. God wants us to deal with it. God don't want us to walk around with these hurt and these pain and these things that we cannot even be our best self. We can't even walk in our purpose because we're sitting around with these wounds that keep festering. They keep coming up because we are not dealing with them. It's full time for us as community to start dealing with our own hurt. Stop walking around and hurting people. Deal with it, because when we deal with it, then we can then help someone else. Some of us will never know our true potential because we are not trying to deal with our own things. So we're just going to end up hurting people and saying, I am ashamed, I don't want to go to therapy. Therapy is not a shame. And that's why I have this podcast to let people understand that it's not a shame to admit that you are not okay. And it's not a shame to say, I'm very angry right now. I thank God I have friends around me who I can say to them, I am very mad right now. And if they don't want to like it, they don't like it. My husband, if he's angry, he will say it. And you say the words. Because sometimes when you repeat the feeling that you're going through, it helps you to unlock the hurt even quicker. You get deeper. The primary emotions. And I want to end today by saying, this Bible verse is in 2 Corinthians 12 verse 9. It says, will make us sufficient. We are sufficient. We are his weakness, his perfectness in our weakness. When we're weak, don't let anybody tell you that you shouldn't repeat the word. If you're angry, you're angry. I've heard it so many times. Don't let other people see you crashing out. Let them see you crash out. I believe that because when they see you crash out, then they will be open. Then they will realize that, listen, I am crashing out right now and I need some time to do it. I have zero. Let people see you crash out. Not saying you should go crazy on people, but if someone hurt you, tell them right to their face. It's important that people know when they're hurting you. Take it from me. Your story is not an embarrassment. Your story is your story. And the reason why God allow you to go through that, because it's your story. A lot of time when people tell you, don't really act like that in public. Don't let them see that. It's because they also going through their own things that they're afraid for people to see. Because if people see it, they will be afraid that people reject them. So what? If someone see you have a meltdown? Go deal with the meltdown. Just know the next time you may not have a meltdown in public. I'm not saying you should have meltdowns in public, but if it happens, it happens. Because sometimes some of those meltdowns needs to happen. So I really and truly wanted to come on here and share how deeply rejection hurts. Because people don't understand the intensity of rejection, and it goes even deeper than this. Maybe some neuropsychologist, I might get one of my friends to come and talk about how does that neuropsychology affect us deep down into this rejection. And it not just affect us, it goes so deep in our soul that it takes years for some people to deal with. And it roll over into our marriage, and then we have kids, it roll into our kids, and our kids have kids and kids. And you know, in a generation that is, we were having devotion with my husband. One of the things that came up in the story with Cain and Abel, and I realized, and the Holy Spirit just brought back to my attention, with Adam and Eve, they disobeyed God in the Garden of Eden, right? And Cain and Abel came and did the same thing. How did they know that? Generational. We need to start breaking these generational curses and these generational habit things. Let's just start treating people with respect and love. And once we start doing that to people, we need to stop being the bad apple. Let's work on our own insecurities and our own rejection that cuts so deep that we think we need to control somebody. We need to tell someone how to run their life. We think we need to do the things to other people to make ourselves look good or feel good. No, we don't. Take your time. Take your season. Everything in Leviticus is in a season, whether we like it or not. So thank you again for listening to another great episode of Immigrate. I just needed to share that. And I needed for us to understand the depth of how deep these rejection can affect us. And once we understand these depths of these rejections, then we know for sure that rejection cuts deeper than we think we can even imagine. Start healing, man. It's time to heal. It's time to move away from punishing ourselves and thinking we're not enough. We are enough. We are enough. You are enough. You are enough. You're not strong. You need somebody. You need to be the soft girl. You need to be taken care of. I always say that my husband, I need him. He needs to take care of me. God will take care of you. You don't need to be the tough person all the time. Don't let society tell you that. You should know how to do the things. You should. Nothing is wrong with that. I'm not saying you're not supposed to know how to do the things. But what I'm saying is you don't have to portray that personality all the time. We want to be taken care of, because a lot of us are parents or doing the things to hinder us from growing, because our parents went through things and they impact us in ways that we even cannot. So they tell us what they have been through, and they're not telling you how to solve the problem that you're currently in. It's a new season right now, new generation. We're breaking generational curse because we don't want to re-trauma our kids. We want them to have healthy boundaries, healthy ways to deal with things. It's time for us to do that right now. So thank you for, again, listening to me, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for listening to that wonderful interview. It was such a delight. If you want to hear more inspiring episodes like these, please to follow us on our Instagram at Immigrate. We'll be uploading all the videos, all the short clips of it, and you can find me in my email at heslop.Tasha-Gaye13@gmail.com. That is heslop.Tasha-Gaye13@gmail.com. Thank you for listening to another great episode of Immigrate.